For over 70 years, Formula One has operated as the absolute pinnacle of human engineering. A hyper-expensive proving ground where the fastest cars on Earth push the absolute limits of physical speed. But right now, in the high-stakes summer of 2026, the sport has descended into a state of absolute regulatory crisis. A radical, sweeping set of new engine regulations, which were originally designed to save the sport's environmental future, has instead completely broken its competitive matrix.
In fact, just hours ago, ahead of the legendary Belgian Grand Prix, two-time world champion Fernando Alonso launched this cold-blooded, totally unprecedented attack against F1 management. He openly mocked the current cars, basically stating they have less deployment power than a junior Formula 2 car. He bluntly claimed, "There was not any driver input or driver talent needed. You just press one button." And Alonso's fury has exposed a really ugly truth that engineers have been desperately trying to hide.
Has the absolute apex of motorsport become a glorified battery management simulation? That's the central question we're tackling in this explainer. Because right now, as the veteran grid rebels, a teenage rookie empire is violently seizing control of the standings, while the once invincible Red Bull empire collapses into a nightmare of catastrophic mechanical failures. The rules have changed, the fans are furious, and the hierarchy of global motorsport has permanently caught fire. To fully comprehend why the grid's most experienced drivers are entering a state of total rebellion, we really have to look directly at the controversial data science driving these 2026 power units.
The core of the issue is the FIA's radical new engineering mandate. They demanded a perfect, strict 50-50 split between internal combustion power and pure electrical energy harvesting. Now, on paper, it sounded like a brilliant ecological leap forward, but out on the asphalt corridors of fast, flowing tracks like Silverstone and Spa, well, it's turned into a technical nightmare.
The numbers highlight exactly why this is failing so badly. Look at this massive jump in electrical reliance. We went from a 120 kilowatt output on the electrical MGU-K unit last year straight up to 350 kilowatts this year. That is nearly 3 times the electrical output required from the car, all while the fuel flow for the combustion engine was significantly reduced. Drivers are practically being forced into extreme lift and coast energy management just to survive a single lap.
Because these engines rely so heavily on the battery, drivers are experiencing this incredibly bizarre phenomenon known as derating or clipping. Basically, this is where the hybrid battery completely runs out of electrical juice halfway down a long straightaway, causing the car to instantly drop over 100 horsepower. Telemetry analysis actually confirms that on long straight sectors, an F1 car's top-end acceleration curve now drops so aggressively that a lighter, conventional Formula 2 car registers higher continuous speed metrics. Imagine paying millions for the absolute pinnacle of engineering, only to get passed by a junior series car on a straight.
Because of this, drivers aren't hunting for fractions of a second through brave late-braking maneuvers anymore. Look at how Alonso metaphorically simplified this situation. Legendary high-speed corner sequences like Maggots, Beckett's, and Chapel at Silverstone are no longer tests of bravery. They are forced harvesting zones. They are, in his words, just a charging station to prevent the battery from clipping on the next straight.
And here is the strict restriction they are working under: 8.0 megajoules. That is the absolute harvesting limit per race lap dictated by the FIA to prevent extreme lift and coast tactics, which was actually reduced from an initial 8.5. So drivers are stuck in the cockpit, manually managing recovery parameters, desperately fighting the software rather than actually fighting each other.
Yet while veteran teams like Aston Martin are suffocating under the technical weight of these rules, the engineering department over at Brackley has engineered the ultimate loophole. Mercedes-AMG has established an absolute, terrifying monopoly over this new era. Just look at these championship standings. Their customer engines are generating vastly superior energy deployment metrics, and it has cleared the path for a historic rookie coronation. 19-year-old Italian prodigy Andrea Kimi Antonelli has completely bypassed the traditional learning curve of the sport. Operating as the world championship leader with 179 points, Antonelli has already secured 5 dominant Grand Prix victories this season. He's leaving his highly experienced teammate George Russell and Ferrari's Lewis Hamilton completely trailing in his wake. So, how are they doing this? Mercedes unlocked a system that keeps their hybrid battery charged way longer through advanced thermal regeneration. While other cars are heavily lifting and coasting to charge the battery, this loophole allows Antonelli to attack corners with a much more aggressive vertical speed profile. His battery simply stays alive longer, leaving the rest of the grid completely stranded.
But arguably the most shocking chapter of this 2026 glitch is the absolute architectural and mechanical downfall of Red Bull racing.
For years, Max Verstappen and Red Bull operated flawlessly, but this new era has triggered a total architectural collapse, and the frustration has hit a boiling point. During the closing stages of the British Grand Prix, while running in a podium position, Verstappen suffered a catastrophic high-speed crash at Stowe Corner on lap 48. His immediate, furious radio message tells you absolutely everything you need to know about the current environment inside that cockpit.
What's actually causing this? It comes down to a fundamental flaw in how they designed their active aerodynamics, which, remember, is the mandatory replacement for DRS this season. If we look at the two main design philosophies, Ferrari's SF26 uses twin actuators housed safely within the rear wing end plates to open and close their wing. Red Bull, however, gambled on a single central actuator for the RB22.
Let's break down the physics of why this is failing so spectacularly. Step 1. The wing opens perfectly fine on the straight. But step 2 is where the nightmare begins. When the driver hits the brakes for a corner like Stowe or turn 9 in Austria, the wing has to close. Red Bull's single actuator pushes the lower edge backward while pulling the upper edge forward. As it closes, the angle of incidence increases, battling extreme aerodynamic resistance. Step 3. The single actuator simply isn't strong enough. It fails against the air pressure. The lower edge stays partially open, and crucial rear downforce is instantly, violently lost. And this equation right here perfectly maps out the data-driven drama of those crashes. Without that rear downforce, when that wing fails to close through a 230 km/h corner, suddenly the lateral acceleration, the forces pushing the car to the outside of the corner, exceeds the mechanical tire grip. The rear of the car violently snaps, sending Verstappen instantly into the gravel. It's an architectural failure with literally catastrophic consequences.
So, what does this all mean? What are the broader implications of these unintended consequences, and where does global motorsport go from here?
The fallout from this single season is absolutely massive. First, Verstappen's DNF at Silverstone means he's falling far enough behind in the championship that his Red Bull exit clause could actually be triggered by the summer break. Second, we are staring down the barrel of a 19-year-old rookie world champion, bypassing veterans completely thanks to Mercedes' battery efficiency. And third, the FIA is already scrambling to tweak the 2027 formula to bring back more internal combustion power, quietly admitting this 50-50 split might have gone way too far.
I want to leave you with this provocative thought, echoing the concerns of former champion Damon Hill. Is F1 just a harbinger of the shape of things to come for all of humanity as we embrace new, highly regulated technologies? Or has the pinnacle of human engineering, a sport built entirely on bravery and mechanical grip, permanently lost its soul to the battery? It is an incredibly tense, fascinating time to be watching the sport. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.